notes up. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our talk today. Our talk is going to be about soul's journey after death. Now, it's a very important topic to discuss. And it's an important topic to discuss for many reasons, but the biggest reason for me is that there is a lot of misunderstanding in our community about what happens when we die. So people resort to all sorts of mumbo jumbo, all sorts of hearsay, all sorts of statements and belief based on no evidence. And what I want to do today is address the issue from perspective of evidence. Nothing but evidence, because I believe it's the evidence that we will be able to use about for our belief. So just to put it in perspective, do you all know that we all have a soul? Right, you do. I hope you believe that you have a soul, because in the Western world, in a secular world, they don't believe in the existence of soul. They believe in the existence of a material body, the one that we have. When we die, this body dies and decomposes, and that's the end of it. They don't believe anything else that happens to our body. When you believe that this world is the end, when you believe that when you have died, your body has decomposed and nothing has happened, or nothing will happen, I'm afraid you've made a cardinal error. An error both logically, but more importantly as Muslims, theologically. In our belief, part of our belief is that this world is not going to be the only world in which we live. We'll die, there will be a phase where we will live in between, and there will be a life in the hereafter where we'll be accountable and we'll be asked questions. Now, this talk came about after the death of Uncle Ali, the mosque's chairman, one of the founders of this mosque, great leader for our community who passed away. May Allah have mercy on his soul and make dua. Allah elevates him to the highest of paradise. I was asked to do a talk there and then, but I couldn't do it because of an emergency. And today, inshallah, I would like to do this. A few months before that, my father passed away. For those of you who've heard, he passed away January 2018, just over 1.5 years ago now. When he died at the hospital. My family had brought him to the hospital. I was in Umrah. It was December when he was admitted to the hospital. It was I think 23rd of Umrah, 23rd of December, when I received a phone call from my mother saying, where are you? I said, of course in Umrah. When are you coming back? I told her I'm coming back on the 31st of December. She said to me, you may not find your dad alive. He may pass away by the time you come back. Could you come back quicker? I said, no, Mom, I can't come back quicker. I've made an intention to be at Umrah and I've taken a group of people. I can't come back any earlier. My dad is not well. I make dua. Allah makes it easy. Whatever is decreed for him will happen. Many of my friends said, why did you do that? Why didn't you just come? Why didn't you just abandon your Umrah? Surely that would have been the wisest thing to do. But I don't believe this. I believe whenever we're going to die, we're going to die. Our death is decreed. Whether you come back from Umrah or travel the world and you want to be next to your father or your mother, that's an emotional tie you have, which is wonderful. You do it out of love. But it does not make anything for the dying. It doesn't make their dying process easier, nor does it make any benefit for those who are dying that you would have traveled or you would have done all of that to be next to them. I said to my mother, if my father passes away, I'm here, I'll make dua for him. But if he doesn't pass away, I will see him inshallah. So I came back on the 31st of December and he died on the 4th of January. So I had 4 days to see him. He was in the hospital, and I remember on the 3rd of January, I was giving a lecture at the Islamic Mosque in Whitechapel at 9 o'clock in the evening. At 7 o'clock in the evening. And I had my mobile phone in front of me on the desk. And as I was giving a lecture to people, I said, brothers and sisters, forgive me, I'll be constantly checking my mobile phone. My father is on his deathbed. So the message of his death may come any time. They asked me, so why have you come if your father is on his deathbed? I told them, my promise with you is with or without my father's death. I made a promise that I'll be here. If my father passes away in the meantime, by me being next to him, it's not going to make any difference to his life. I did my talk, I went back, and in the middle of my talk at 9 o'clock, my phone message came saying, your uncle in Bangladesh has just passed away. My father's younger brother. And 3 hours later, at 12 o'clock, my father passed away in London. I had come to the hospital about 10 o'clock. I was with him. I told my family just to go back home, freshen up and come back. They all went home. At 11:45, I told my brother, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go and freshen up. I make wudu. I have something to eat. I'll come back. I went home. My brother called me within 10 minutes saying, come back. I rushed back. When I came to the hospital, as I came, I saw my father taking his last breath, and he did this. And he rolled his eyes. That was the last of him. And he passed away. My brothers and sisters, there is a hadith of Rasulullah. When a person dies, as the soul is leaving the body, the eyes follow the soul. Rasulullah said this. The eyes follow the soul. So why did my father roll his eyes? He was rolling his eyes, looking at the soul as it's leaving him. Almost everyone who sees a death, you will notice that the eyes are rolled upwards often. The ruh is going, the soul is leaving, and the eyes follow. Eyes could be following this way, that way, looking very sharp, looking upwards, whichever way. Now, something came into my father's body, something came into my body when I was in my mother's womb, and I became alive, and that something left my body or left my father's body, and my father died. And when it leaves my body and your body, I and you will all die. That's called the ruh. Allah says in the Quran, and they ask you concerning the soul, concerning the ruh, tell them the true knowledge of the ruh is with Allah, and nobody will be able to understand or explain what ruh is, because ruh is something intangible. It's not tangible. You cannot feel it, you cannot touch it, you cannot move it, you cannot do anything with it. It is not within your power to have any control over your soul. Soul belongs to Allah, and Allah gives it and Allah takes it away. So I want to talk about that soul's journey after death. But before I talk about that journey itself, I need to tell you, your body experiences death every day, and it will experience permanent death only once. Every night when you go to sleep, your soul leaves your body temporarily. Allah says in the Quran, we take that soul, and to some we return, and to some we don't. Your soul leaves your body. So what does it mean when our soul leaves our body? Literally, our soul leaves and it traverses across the universe. It is said that our soul encounters other souls. My soul may be meeting my grandfather, my great-grandfather, ancestors from my family. My soul may be meeting Adam alayhi salam's soul. My soul may be meeting Musa's soul. My soul may be meeting other souls that have passed away, or the souls that are traversing the universe. Soul goes on a journey. Where it goes, we have no idea. But the moment you wake up, it returns to your body instantaneously. So we understand soul is not only intangible, but it is something that instantaneously, momentarily, with a speed faster than the blink of an eye, it can come and it can go. We understand because when you wake up, waking up is literally a few seconds. You know, if you are woken up suddenly, what happens? shaken, you feel pain. I literally remember when I'm suddenly woken up, I feel pain in my body. Now, soul is a metaphysical entity, alaykum salam, metaphysical entity that has no physical dimension, no physical presence, and yet you and I are alive because of it. Subhanallah. When I die, I spoke about it on Friday here. When I die, my body would be buried under the soil. My body will decompose and become part of the earth. What happens to my soul? That's what we're going to talk about today. But do you understand that you die twice? Temporary death every day, anytime you go to sleep, and permanent death when you die permanently. Something else happens. Has anyone experienced, you're lying, you're sitting down on your sofa, you're half asleep, half awake. You're neither awake nor asleep. You can hear lots of things going around, but you're not able to understand it all, but you're not fully asleep. If you're in that state, your wudu hasn't broken, by the way. Your wudu is still fine, as the fuqaha say. Because you're not asleep, your soul hasn't left. For your soul to have left is when you are no longer aware of anything. When you're asleep, you're not aware of anything. Everything is shut. Our ears are not shut. Because if I click next to your ears, you will wake up. Unless you're a very deep sleeper. I call your name, you'll wake up. Your ears shut. Your eyes are closed. I can bring my hand in front of your eyes like this 50 million times. Will make no difference. Your body, your sensors are still awake. Your brain is still working. The brain waves are still going on. Your heart is still pumping. Your lungs still breathing. Your liver still functioning. Every single organ in your body is functioning while you are alive but temporarily died. How is that possible that your body is still functioning while you're temporarily dead? If this soul left your body permanently, you would be dead. How is that possible? That in itself is a miracle of Allah. Because when the soul leaves, no matter how many machines you attach to the body is dead. But every night Allah causes me to die. I don't need machines to keep me awake or keep me alive. Allah decrees when I die, and that's when it would leave. For if I'm not dead, I'm alive. Even if Allah takes the soul away, I'm still alive. Allahu Akbar. You die every day, and you die permanently, eventually. So when we die, my brothers and sisters, Allah says in the Quran, كُلُّ نَفْسٍ زَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul shall taste death. In fact, when Allah says nafs here, He doesn't talk about soul. He says every person shall experience death. What does Allah mean by every person experiencing death? It means everyone who has come to this world, who is alive, will have to experience death. Even animals will have to experience death, except they die instantly. Except their death is very different than yours and mine, because there is no accountability for them. But our death is something unique and very different. So when we die, this is what happens. Allah sends down angels of death. Depending on who you are, whether you are righteous or a sinner, whether you are a bad person or a good person, Allah would send down angel of death depending on your status. For those people who are good, two angels come to them who are very good, who are covered with shroud of fragrance, and their presence is enlightening, their presence is beautiful, peaceful. They come and sit next to the person who is dying on their left and on the person's left and the right. The angels would sit. And they will keep a distance between the angel and the dead person for as long as the eyes can see. But the dead person can see the angels have sat on both sides. They can see that. And when that person has sat, the fragrance, the beautiful smell, the peaceful, serene environment is an indication that this person is good. Then the angel of death comes, who is also coming with a beautiful shroud, beautiful smell, and beautiful presence, and says to the dying body, "Oh, the soul that is contented with Allah. O the soul that has been very good with Allah, the one who Allah is pleased with, and the one who is pleased with Allah. O the pious soul, come to the call of Allah. Allah is inviting you, come to the pleasure of Allah. Soul leaves the body. Rasulullah said, like a droplet of water leaving a jug. A small droplet of water leaving the jug. When it does leave, you will feel it's leaving. Prophet ﷺ was feeling it. It's perspiring. You will feel it. Not pain, but you will feel its departure. Soul leaves your body. It's enshrouded in a cloth, metaphor to be honest, and is taken to the heavens. As it's taken to the heavens, praise and glory is made of this good person who died. As it reaches the heavens, the angels in the heavens says, who is here? Who has come? The angel who is carrying the soul says, so-and-so, son of so-and-so, so good so-and-so, pious so-and-so has died, and we're carrying his soul to the height of what Allah has decreed for him. They say from the heavens, welcome the pious person, welcome the son of or the daughter of pious person. And the soul is then taken each stage at a time until Allah says, and record the soul to a place called Illiyin, in which this soul is recorded. Thus, this soul is given a space in heaven until the Day of Judgment. Allah then says to the angel, return the soul quickly to the dead body, for I had promised the dead body that it will be brought together again, and it will be questioned first in its grave immediately after death. And the soul will be able to hear the footsteps of people around, those who are lamenting or mourning the death of the person who has died, or who are crying over the goodness of this person, the legacy of this person. Allah's angel would then return with the soul very quickly to the deceased body, which has now been buried, and unite with the body for a very short period of accountability. That's what happens to the good person. If the good person is able to answer the questions, of course they will be able to. That's why they were welcome to the heavens. Allah then destines this person to a place of height, place of great reward, place of great achievement. Now, scholars have given various interpretations of the experience of the soul, whether the soul is placed in the heaven, or is the soul in a place called Illiyin, from where it experiences heaven. All of those, Allah knows the best. We don't know the exact details, but we know that the Illiyin is a place for the good people, pious people, and they will be stationed there, and Allah will make that soul experience the goodness of the heavens, paradise, the fragrance of it. They are dead, they don't need to eat anything. Soul doesn't need food, but they will experience the pleasure and the bliss. The person who has been wicked, on the other hand, the angel of death will come. The first two angels will arrive, and with all the awful presence that you can think of, looking horrible, smelling awful, the environment being made awful for that person, the angels of death would come and sit on both sides, and the distance between this person and the angels would be as far as his or her eyes could see. And then the angel of death would come again, very angry, very ferocious, with one word: come out, you rotten soul. Come out, you rotten soul. And the soul would not want to come out. Soul would disperse into the body. And it is said that the angel of death would then grab the soul, will have to drag the soul out of the body. And the analogy given is like you taking a rake, garden rake, and pulling the grass from the rake, the debris from your grass using the rake. Like that, soul will be extracted from the wicked person's body, and the person will feel the pain They will feel the pain in every way you can imagine. They would wish that they'd never died. They would wish they'd never done anything wrong. Soul will feel the pain in a miserable way. Soul will be taken up to the heavens again, and immediately in the heavens there would be said, what is this soul? What is this smell? What is this stench? And the angel of death would say, so-and-so, son of so-and-so, or daughter of so-and-so, was a wicked one, was bad one, was a bad person. And they will say, he has no place here, or she has no place here. The gates of the heavens will be closed to them. Allah will say to the angel, take him right down, or take her right down to Sijjin, a place which is the lowest of the low, and record this person's name in Sijjin. And then after recording, the person will be returned to unite, the soul will be returned to unite with the physical body, so that the body once buried can be questioned again. And the questioning, this soul, this body will fail, this person will fail, and then they will be brought to experience the punishment of the hereafter as destined for them. My brothers and sisters, soul's journey began by the moment we arrived on this earth at our birth, and soul's journey doesn't end when we die. Just like when you began this earthly journey, you had no control over your soul. None whatsoever. You know, this is a debate amongst the scholars, medical science. At what stage does a soul, a fetus, become a human? In the mother's womb, a lump of flesh, firstly liquid, becomes clot of blood, lump of flesh with no shape, then becomes shaped. But very quickly, within 6 weeks, you can see the brain wave in the machines. The radiology department of your hospital can tell you what they can see. You can even see the heart beating away very soon, even though the whole brain hasn't developed yet. But at 120 days, something miraculous happens. 17 weeks. It is said in a hadith that Allah breathes into this body, into this fetus, ruh arrives. I was attending a debate recently on BBC about abortion, and I was giving the Islamic version about abortion to the panel of people. After the debate, obviously during the debate people disagreed with me, and I disagreed with them. In Islam, abortion is strictly not allowed unless the mother's life is in danger, or it has got a circumstance or a situation which would be within a particular limited time frame. So I was telling them 17 weeks is the maximum limit for Muslims, because at 120 days, 17 weeks, this fetus has become a spiritual being. He's no longer a lump of flesh. For us, that's an insan, that's a human being. They disagreed with me on live TV program. But when the TV program was over, the lady doctor who was performing abortion, who does abortion herself, told me in my ears, young man, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I said to her, why didn't you say that live on TV program? She said to me, I would be sacked. I was just following my policies. I said, what do you agree? She said 17 weeks. 17 weeks. I said, how do you know 17 weeks? She goes, it's ancient knowledge that 17 weeks something happens to this body. We doctors know this has become a living entity, though we cannot prove it. I stood there. I said to her, Allahu Akbar. She goes, what does that mean? I said, I'm praising the Lord, because Allah has given me this knowledge through His revelation, through Muhammad ﷺ, and the statements of our beloved Prophet, that at 120 weeks, the fetus becomes an insan that will be questioned on the Day of Judgment. But before then, they're not. And you would agree with me. I'm amazed. I'm sad that you didn't agree with me on live TV debate. Brothers and sisters, human body is a miracle. And I'm not here to talk about human body. I'm here to talk about even a bigger miracle called the soul. That which enters your body to make you alive, and that which leaves your body for you to be dead. But all the time while you're alive, your body functions because your soul is here. When soul leaves, no matter how many machines are attached to your body, you will not function. You will never function. This miracle called soul, people fail to feed this soul. We feed our brain with intellectual discussions and debates, reading of books. We watch documentaries, we write because we need food for our brain. We need food for our physical body. We eat good food, healthy food. You eat junk food, you'll become junk yourself, as we know. Bad food, you get heart attack and all the other problems that comes with it. You eat healthy food, your physical body needs food. What food do you give your soul? Somebody may turn around and say, well, soul is not a physical body, so therefore it doesn't need food. It needs spiritual food while you're alive. Soul's food is prayer. 5 daily prayers. Soul's food is zakat and sadaqat that you give, benefiting other human beings. Soul's food is Ramadan's fasting of the month of Ramadan and any other fast that you do. Soul's food are things that you do which are spiritually uplifting, specifically for you and for Allah. That's soul's food. You deprive your soul of food, you towards the later life will suffer terribly. Many people are too busy in their teens making friends, in their 20s becoming established, getting a job, in their 30s making sure their careers are peaking, in their 40s families, children, in their 50s they feel empty. They feel empty. Do you know why they feel empty? Because they've neglected their soul. So be grateful Allah has made you and I Muslim. We don't neglect our soul. Even if you pray 5 times a day, the minimum prayer. Even if you fast in the month of Ramadan, 1 month only in the month of Ramadan. Even if you do Hajj once in your lifetime. Even if you give zakat only once in your life, hopefully every year. Just that act will keep your spiritual food going. And you should not suffer from midlife crisis, debilitating mental illnesses. Remember what I said? Debilitating mental illnesses. And you should not succumb to the pressures that the material world brings to you because you're feeding your soul. So soul's journey while you're alive needs to be an active process. You need to connect with your soul regularly. But upon death, soul is left. There's nothing you can do. Even if you were to fortify yourself in a metal bunker, you know, bomb-proof metal bunkers where bombs can't come through, even if you lock somebody up in that room on their deathbed, Malakul Maut will come and will take them away. You cannot stop death from happening. When Ibrahim ibn Adam, a great scholar of the past, was asked, one of the advice he gave, if you want to disobey Allah, delay your death. Delay your death by 1 second. My brothers and sisters, death, we should pray, happens to us in the most blessed way ever. I'll explain to you, I'll give you a story of a blessed death. One of my teachers, subhanAllah, Allah have mercy on his soul, he died, but I'll tell you his death. He was giving a lecture about Islam and economy in a hotel in central London. Grand speech. It was attended by ministers, MPs, governments, and there was the governor of Bank of Malaysia, a Muslim woman who was the governor sitting in that audience. After his lecture, that governor of Bank of Malaysia was sitting in front and he was sitting on the other side with a coffee table in the middle, and he was sitting and drinking tea. Holding his tea, was drinking tea like this. Suddenly, he stopped drinking tea. He put the tea down and he said, 1 minute. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And collapsed and died. The Bank of Malaysia, his governor, said to us afterward, it was like the angel of death came to him and said, Shaykh, it's time to go. And he said, 1 minute, please. And it is like Allah granted him that 1 second to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Very few of us will ever get such a chance. Angel of death will not wait. Angel of death will not say, yeah, okay, Muhammad, 2 seconds, go and say Shahada. Oh, Muhammad, you've got some donations to give, go ahead. You've got some debts, go ahead, complete it. Muhammad, you need to go and say sorry to your wife, to your husband, go and say sorry to them. Muhammad, don't do your Asr prayer, it's fine. Oh, Muhammad, go and make wudu. We'll wait for you to get ready so we can take you away. Angel of death will not give you that chance, my brothers and sisters. Never, ever. Malakul Maut comes and you'll be gone. There was a time when recently I thought I was going to die. Don't look at me with such surprising eyes. I had heart pain one day, serious heart pain. I'm Asian, I'm in my 40s, heart pain. I've had many friends who have died of heart attack at this age. I got very worried. So I called up my doctor. My doctor said to me, A&E right now. I said, A&E means 9 hours, I'm not going. Called up my good friend who's a doctor, cardiologist. I told him what my problem is. He goes, A&E right now. I ignored him. Foolish of me to do this, but I ignored him. My excuse was, I've got my children with me. My wife was away in a program. What am I going to do? And then I had 3-4 lectures that weekend. I've got to do all my stuff. So I traveled from London to Leicester, did my lecture. There was a friend doctor of mine who I asked, he examined me. He wasn't too sure. He said, please go to A&E as soon as you can. As I was coming back, I bought some aspirin and I took aspirin. I came home and I told my children, if anything happens to daddy tonight, these are the things you need to do. 999, your grandmother's number, your granddad's number. Oh, I did all that. My children were astonished. What is daddy doing? Then I went to my bed, my brothers and sisters. I laid down on my bed. I'm very, subhanAllah, thank Allah, I thank Him all the time. It takes me 10 seconds to fall asleep. Like this, I'm gone. As soon as I hit the bed, I'm gone. If you don't, please don't feel jealous. Allah has given me this ni'mah. That day, I tossed and turned. I couldn't sleep for 2-3 hours. I got up, I wrote my will. I wrote down all the things that I needed to do in my life. I wrote down all the people that I've hurt. And I wrote down instructions to my wife what to do. And still I couldn't sleep. Eventually my body became tired and I fell asleep. And at 6 o'clock, Fajr time, my alarm went off. Teet, teet, opened my eyes. Wallahi, first thing I thought, am I dead or am I alive? I looked around and I said, oh, I'm still in my room. I didn't go anywhere, I'm still alive. When you experience death or possibility of dying that close, you'll never forget it. You'll never forget it. And finally, never be afraid of dying. A believer is never afraid of dying. Though they're fearful of the fact that they have to be accountable because of Allah consciousness that they have, but you're always ready to die. Do you know why? Because you've done your best. You've done your best. That's why we should make wudu whenever we have broken our wudu. That's why we should not miss our prayers. If we have missed our prayers, we should make it up as soon as possible. That's why if we have a debt, we should pay it off. That's why if we've done something wrong to somebody, we should apologize. That's why if we have unsettled business, we should settle them as soon as possible, because we're always ready to die. Always ready to die. When I receive death threats from some idiots, they ask me, are you not scared? Why should I be scared? You don't decide when I'm going to die. You can decide all you like. 5 million people can stand in front of me and decide my death, and if Allah doesn't want me to die, I'm not going to die. My death, our death, my brothers and sisters, our soul's journey is predetermined. The day you're going to die, how you're going to die, where you're going to die, when you're going to die. Nothing is going to change. Have that complete faith in your death, that it will happen. In fact, it's more real than living. My uncle, Allah have mercy on his soul, he lived all his life in Bangladesh. All his life. 70 years of his life in Bangladesh. Never went out. Once went to Hajj. At the age of 70, his son said, Dad, come over to America. He went to America and died over there. Did he ever imagine he's going to die in America, having lived 70 years in Bangladesh? In fact, he had a grave plot in Bangladesh ready for him. He's buried in Detroit, Michigan. Forget Bangladesh. My father came to this country from Bangladesh too. Did he ever think he's going to be buried in Edmonton? No. I'm telling you something else, my brothers and sisters. Don't be fixated as to where you're going to be buried. Be fixated by the preparation for your journeys and for your soul's journey after death. So that's in a nutshell, introduction to the topic of journey of our soul after death. What happens to our soul when we are dead? Our soul never dies. On the Day of Judgment, when we are raised again, if you are dead with no legs, if you are dead because a lion has eaten you, if you have died because of illnesses, if you have died because you have drowned, if you have died because you burnt and became ashes, Allah will gather you and I, all of us, from any corner of this earth. There is a very nice hadith. A man on his deathbed said to his children, "Oh my children, please burn me and distribute my ashes over the sea." And his children did that. On the Day of Judgment, Allah says to this man, "Why did you do this?" He said, "Ya Allah, precisely to avoid this situation. I was so afraid that you would bring me up on the Day of Judgment and ask me questions. I was so afraid and I was so rotten. I was so afraid. I told my children that, my children, please burn me and destroy my body and distribute my ashes everywhere so that Allah on the Day of Judgment doesn't get me together." Allah will say to him, "Oh my servant, just out of my fear you did this?" He will say, "Yes, Ya Allah." Allah will say, "Because you have this fear about me, I forgive you. Your destiny is paradise." Allah will be able to bring us together no matter how, where, when we die. He'll bring us together. He'll make us rise again. From our graves, we will all rise. And when we rise again from our graves, we'll rise the way we died. Aisha said, "Ya Rasulullah, when I rise again, what about my clothes?" "Ya Aisha, you'll be naked." "Oh, Ya Rasulullah, I'll be naked." Yes, everyone will be naked. But will we not be embarrassed? Prophet ﷺ said, "Ya Aisha, on that day, you will not even think about anything but your own fear. Fear will be so gripping that you will not even know that you're naked." Can you imagine such a fear? We can only equate it to earthquakes. Has anyone ever been in an earthquake where the building is shaking and you run out of the building? No? You would then haven't experienced it. I've been in a building, the whole building was shaking, everyone ran. They left their children behind. The mothers left their children behind. If we can do this on this earth from an earthquake, you rise on the Day of Judgment, forget about everything else. Allah says in the Quran, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, a person will flee from their brother. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, from their children and their families. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ, from his father and his mother. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, from his children and his families. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ, everyone will be preoccupied with their own concerns on that day. Everyone will be very preoccupied, so preoccupied that you will not even know anyone. So we'll rise again and we'll all run for the Day of Judgment. I'm not talking about the Day of Judgment today, so I don't want to talk about it in details. I'm talking about the soul's journey. Our soul will be reunited for us to run to the Day of Judgment in order for us to be facing final accountability. And once we have been accounted for, we'll be destined to heaven and hell, the physical places in which we will live. How, where, Quran describes, but they're only descriptions so that our minds can think and imagine. And Allah then says, your minds cannot imagine what awaits you in the hereafter in terms of pleasure or punishment. Your mind cannot imagine it, so don't even imagine it. Just be ready. Be ready. Our soul will not die. Our bodies will perish. On the Day of Judgment, what kind of a body will we rise with? Allah will choose. We don't know. Prophet ﷺ said to a woman, she said, "Will I go to paradise?" Prophet ﷺ said, "No, you're not going to go to paradise." Woman cried, "Prophet of Allah, I'm not going to go to paradise." Prophet ﷺ then smiled and said, "You will not go to paradise looking so old and frail. You'll go to paradise looking a beautiful young lady." She was very happy. I can imagine why we will not be able to go to paradise with our old and frail bodies, because the pleasures of paradise can't be enjoyed by oldness and frailty and weaknesses and illnesses and the earthly bodies. Somebody said to me the other day, "My kidney doesn't work, brother. What am I going to do in paradise?" Why would you need kidney in paradise, my brother and my sister? Kidney only detoxifies, cleanses your blood. Why would you need to cleanse your blood in paradise? Why would you need a kidney or a lung to breathe? In paradise, why would you even need a heart to have your heart beat and pump blood across your body? Why would you you need to think about going to the bathroom in paradise when you don't need to worry about these? These are earthly. These are earthly. What will happen to you in paradise? Allah knows the best. We don't know. But what we know is we will enter paradise in a state where we can enjoy perpetual bliss. Bliss that will never end. Youthfulness that will never end. Joy that will never end. Gluttony, eating food that people love, will never be distasteful. Drinking alcohol, wine that turns you into a drunkard and terrible person on this earth, in paradise it will not be the same. So your soul will unite with your body, a body that can cope with such pleasure, and your soul will unite with your body that can cope with the punishment of the fire. The earthly body cannot cope with it. So soul's journey will continue. It began, in fact, it began well before you came into being. Allah made all the souls together. That would be my last point. He made all the souls together, and He said to all of us, Alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? That was the first covenant of humanity. Did you know that? First covenant Allah took from every single soul. Before He made anything, He made all the souls together. And He said to all of them, Alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And we said, Qalu bala, yes, you are our Lord, Ya Allah. And then Allah says, yes, we have given you, you have given me your covenant. And then He sent you and I in stages, in the right time, in the right places. So soul's journey began before we even were conceived. At conception, soul united with our body. At death, during the lifetime, soul accompanied us. At death, soul will leave us. And on the day of judgment, soul will return to us to enjoy paradise or suffer in hell. That is, in a nutshell, soul's journey after death. I'm going to pause. I've spoken for nearly 40 minutes. I'd like to open up the floor for questions and comments from people. So Bismillah, brothers and sisters, you're free to ask anything you like on the topic itself, soul's journey after death. Yes, my brother, starting with Bismillah.
So when we sleep, momentarily we die temporarily.
Yes.
This is on the assumption that that's at night. Or is it every time?
Anytime you sleep.
Anytime you sleep.
So the brother is asking, when we sleep, our soul leaves our body momentarily for temporary purposes. Is it during the night time only? No, anytime. Day or night, whenever you fall asleep, your soul leaves your body. Except when you're not asleep. So that's the answer to that question. Young man, how you doing? I go say that.
I had another question. Just an extension to your uncle's question there. I learned before, I don't know the need for it or anything, so I'm just asking. When you go to sleep and the soul travels, is it true that it is best to have a wudu before you go to sleep? Because that soul goes up into the heavens and it's meant to bow to make it prostrate, and if it doesn't have wudu, it can't prostrate, so it goes back to the wudu. Is that when you...
There is no evidence for that. Let me repeat that. The brother is saying, is it true that when we go to sleep, we should make wudu? Because when soul leaves our body, when it's at night, when we're sleeping, or during the daytime, when we're sleeping, in the journey it makes, it may want to bow. And if it doesn't have wudu, how can it bow? The obligation for wudu is not for the soul, it's for you, the body itself. And it's an earthly gesture on this earth, not for soul's journey. That's number one. Number two, when the soul goes on a journey, it doesn't need to bow, it's journeying. It meets, encounters future events, past events, people. We have deja vu. And in Islam, deja vu is explained by soul's encounter. My soul has encountered this situation in its journey. And in my real life, when I encounter it, I say, oh, I've been there before. I have encountered this before. You haven't. Your soul has. It's called soul's journey into the future. But you can't tell the future because soul doesn't have a language to express. You don't have your brain connected to your soul to extract information. Soul is the spark of life. But that journey becomes real in front of you because now you're physically experiencing that which your soul has already experienced. Deja vu is true. except it's explained by the Sunnah of Rasulullah like this. But no, so you don't need to make wudu for your soul. You need to make wudu because you may die. So you're ready. Last thing you've done in your day before you went to sleep. Actually, we make a big mistake in our community. We make witr prayer, the prayer with Isha. After Isha, we pray witr. Actually, Rasulullah used to make witr his last prayer. Just before he would hit the bed. Make wudu, stand up and make witr and go to sleep. So, making wudu is a sunnah, is a good sunnah in preparation to die. Dying means my soul will leave, I'll leave this earth, I'll never have another chance to make wudu ever again. That's the reason. But soul doesn't prostrate, or doesn't need to prostrate, or there is nothing that I've ever come across that says the soul will prostrate after you've gone to sleep. What was your second question? When it comes back to you, inshallah.
I've got a series of questions.
Okay, let's get others, inshallah. My brother right there at the back. And my sisters, you can raise your hand and ask questions, inshallah. I'll come to you. Yes, go on.
You just said about the guy that he died and he made the Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. He said 1 minute. Is that comes to everybody or just to that person?
This was a unique experience. Somebody saw this and told us the story. It will not be our chances. Allah does not guarantee anybody a moment's delay in death. Not even a nanoseconds delay in death.
And when you're asleep, you said you can't see but you can hear. Because you said the soul
Yeah,
goes away.
you can hear only, so you can be awakened, but you can't hear anything else except.
Right.
So that moment of awakening is when your ruh has returned.
But you are actually dead in that space.
That space you're dead, yes, but temporarily dead, not permanently dead.
Yeah, but like...
The doctors have said something very interesting, biologically speaking. Even when we die, our ears are open for at least 15, 20 minutes. Sound enters our ears. Whether we can hear or not, of course we can't, because the world is shut, we're dead. It's like a vessel, open. Sound enters, right? So the vessel is open. You do this, I wake up. But that awakening is that momentary call of your soul, it's come back. So Rasulullah's sunnah is, don't do this to wake somebody up. Call their name gently, or tap them gently. Whoever you wake them up gently, so that the soul will return to the body and the person will not feel any pain.
What does it mean when a person dies asleep?
Huh?
What does it mean when a person dies asleep?
What does it mean? Their soul has left permanently. So the soul that left never came back. That was their moment of death. In fact, we cannot tell whether they died at the beginning of their sleep, when the soul left, in the midway in their sleep, when Allah had assigned their death, or towards the beginning of their moment of waking up, or whether they died after waking up, or whether they died during the night after they woke up and died. We have no idea, except we know that they've died. But once the soul has left the body, it's left the body. There's nothing you can do.
Some people say that for some pious people, Allah gives them the knowledge that they're going to die just before they die, and they start behaving in a different way because they know they're about to die.
The brother is saying for some pious people, Allah gives them extraordinary knowledge before they die, so they start behaving in a particular way. No. That's not true. Even Rasulullah wasn't told that he's going to die on a particular moment and a date. He wasn't given that date. He fell ill. And his temperature went higher and higher and higher. And he assigned Abu Bakr to lead the prayer. And then he became better. And then he fell ill again. And only when Sakaratul Maut began, when the process of death began, he said to Fatima, "Oh Fatima, you'll be the first one to join me after I've gone." But that's a prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He receives wahi. No human being would be told about the moment of their death, but they will get signs. There's a nice story. A young man was busy in his life. Suddenly, it's not a hadith, so don't misquote me. It's a story, an analogy to understand. So, young man is very busy. Angel of death comes and says, "Young man, time to die." "Oh, come on, I'm young. You could have done a favor to me. You should have sent me some signs, some signals that it's time to die." Angel of death said, okay, Allah will give you another chance, fine. But Allah will send you signs, so be careful. He said, okay. Angel of death goes. 20, 30 years later, angel of death appears again. Time to go. Angel of death, you promised Allah will send me signs. I never saw us received any signs. Angel of death says, ha ha, it's not true. Remember, young man, your beard started graying. Your hair started graying. Signs of death. Remember, young man, your teeth started falling. Sign of death. Remember, your bones were creaking. Sign of death. Remember when you could not breathe after walking a little because your lungs became tired? Sign of death. And you ignored them all. You waited for a different sign. Allah sends you sign of death every minute of your living. I only saw, my wife showed me a video of me 2 years ago. We're having a good laugh. Not a single grey beard 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 2017. In fact, this very month in July, I was in Portugal. I made a video recording and I sent it over, and my wife showed me that video and she said to me, look at your grey beard now, mashallah. Within 2 years, beards greyed, body changed, signs of death. So you don't have to be wise and very pious to receive special text messages or WhatsApp messages. You will never do. You should look at your life and be always ready. And don't take life for granted, because things will change. Alhamdulillah, human life cycle, naturally speaking, 60, 70 years, then you die, right? But you can't take it for granted. You could die early. I don't know about you, but I have lost many good friends, very young age. One of my younger days, and I still remember, I was probably about 20, 21, when I lost one young friend of mine who was 17, died of cancer. I buried him with my own hand. Then I remember losing another good friend of mine at 32. He died of a heart attack. Then I lost another friend of mine recently when he was 45. Somebody stabbed him. I'm just lucky. Allah has chosen my death at a different time. I could have been somebody else, dead too. So those who are waiting for signs, bad news is there are no signs. Signs are there in your life every day. Just take it. Any other questions from anybody, brothers or sisters? Yes, my brother. Yes, go ahead.
What can you tell us about Munkar and Nakir and what part of the journey so you encounter them?
Munkar and Nakir are the ones who arrive in your grave asking you questions. Now, Munkar and Nakir, the name is given to the two angels who question you. It's when your body and your soul is united straight after burial. And you asked, who was your Lord? Who was your Prophet? And what was your religion? And if you can answer those simple 3 questions, you are left to rest and enjoy paradise's experience from wherever your soul is resting. And those who haven't been able to answer the questions, they are left to experience the punishment that they will get in the hell while they are in that particular period of that transition, barzakh as we call it. So that's the time when you meet those angels. They ask you questions, interrogators I call them. The first CID questioners coming into the cell, get up you, who is your Lord? I can just imagine. Now, if you are going to be ready to answer them, and you'll only be ready to answer them if your religion is part and parcel of your everyday life. You cannot escape the reality then. You know, brothers and sisters, who you are actually translates even in your own life. So those people who suffer from dementia, if you have seen them, if you are looking after somebody who's elderly and dementia suffering, they start behaving their true self when they're in dementia, because they go back to their younger age and they start saying things, doing things, and you start seeing a different part of them. Sometimes it's very pleasant, sometimes it's very unpleasant. You cannot escape what is part of you on the Day of Judgment, particularly in your grave. You will hesitate if Islam wasn't part of your life. You will not remember who Allah is. Somebody said to me the other, surely I can answer that question very easily with my eyes closed. I said, it's not about answering the questions physically. It's about actually being connected to be able to say the right thing at the right time. Not everyone can answer a question in front of a camera because you get nervous. Now forget the camera. The Lord of the universe has sent his interrogators in front of you. You're dead. You know you're dead. Your body is in the grave, confined to a small space. You are not questioned. You're terrified. Only those who are accustomed to their religion can answer it properly. If you are not, if you are dossing, if you are freeloading as I call them, if you are wasting your time and you're just thinking, yeah, I'm okay, I'm afraid I've got bad news for you. For you to be able to answer, you need to be consciously connected. Consciously connected means you know your religion is true, you believe in it, you practice it. You're confident about it. It's not going to just come into your mouth because you felt like it. No, you make hundreds of du'as. It's not going to work only by du'a. It has to be followed by conviction and practice. Does that make sense? I will come to you. This brother had his hand and any other hands, inshallah. Go ahead.
You said the good soul goes up and can go anywhere.
A good soul.
Yeah, the nabis with your family or whatever. Can someone's soul intercede on your behalf to make it a good soul?
On the day of judgment, nobody will be able to intercede except Rasulullah ﷺ by the permission of Allah. Number one. This is number one. Remember this. Allah will give permission to Prophet ﷺ to intercede because Allah will give him permission. That's it. Allah has given special dispensation to few other groups of people who would be given the permission to intercede. For example, a little baby that died from a parent while the baby was little. Allah will say, the baby will say, Ya Allah, you took my life. You did not allow me the life with my parents. Today I want to be with my parents. Allah will say, go, get your parents. My brothers and sisters, my uncles and aunties, yes, take them and go to paradise and enjoy. It's not intercession. It's permission given for this baby. Allah will compensate this baby for the loss. Allah doesn't need to compensate, but out of his mercy he will. Third category of people who will be able to intercede are shuhada. Those who have died in the cause of Allah, in protecting other people, in furthering religion, in fighting oppression. Those who become shaheed, martyrs. Allah will give them permission on the Day of Judgment to intercede on behalf of, some say 40, hadith say 70, a number of people. So we know a few people will be given permission to intercede, but they are very specific in a very narrow confines. Rasulullah would be given generic right to intervene, and he would do intervention to those who would deserve intervention. So for example, I cannot bank on the fact that, Prophet of Allah ﷺ may intervene on my behalf. What if he doesn't? What if he doesn't? You're banking a huge thing on the day of judgment when there is no plan B. It's only one plan. If Prophet ﷺ doesn't intervene, what are you going to do? My brothers and sisters, Allah's mercy is bigger than anything else that you can think of. A man will arise on the Day of Judgment when he will have no good deeds except one good deed. Sorry, he will be stuck from going to paradise. He will be stuck with one deed only. He just needs one. It's like pass mark. You just need to have 51 to go to paradise, and he's got 50. Imagine. Don't quote me on the numbers. Imagine. And Allah will say to him, what are you going to do today? And he will look around and he will say, is there anybody here who can give me something? I'm stuck. One man will rise on the Day of Judgment and he will have only one score. Forget about anything else. He'll have one and he will be short by 50. And he will say, Ya Allah, I'm definitely going to hell. I have no chance in hell or heaven to go anywhere else but hell. So please give this to this man. Let him have it, Ya Allah. Please let him have it. Allah will say, and why did you do that? He'll say, Ya Allah, I did that because I knew that I'm not going to go to anywhere. I might as well have my brother saved here today. Allah will say to both of them, both of you are saved. Both of you go to paradise. But can you and I bank on this? You can't bank on this. There are other groups of people who will say, It's in the Quran. Allah will put His hand in the fire. When Allah says His hand, we don't know what that means except His hand, and He will bring people out of paradise. What does that mean? Can I bank on the fact that I may be in those people? No. You need to bank on certainty. What is certainty? Do the good deeds in the good way. Be prepared. Get ready for the soul's journey, then you'll be fine. You don't get ready and then you think of all possibilities. There is a misconception in our community. Imam can intercede. Peer Saabs can intercede. Shaykh can intercede. My Shaykh can intercede. Look, your Shaykh will be on trouble on his own on the Day of Judgment. Your Peer will be looking for mercy of Allah. Rasulullah himself said this. He said, Ya Fatima, if you think because you're my daughter on the Day of Judgment you'll be safe, think again. For you will only be able to go to paradise by the mercy of Allah, not because of your father. If Prophet ﷺ is warning his daughter about this, who the hell are these human beings to give you any hope? We have hope in Allah, right? We have hope in Allah. We hope in Allah's mercy and we bank on it. Young man, go ahead.
Is dead person can see their relative when their relative come to their graves?
Can the dead person see any relatives when they come to their grave? The simple answer is no. No. Because everything for the dead is closed. Because if the dead could see, then they would not be dead. It defies logic. It's like the argument, dead body feels the pain. It doesn't.
They inform that
That's a different discussion. Does Allah inform the soul? It's up to Allah. Right? But can the dead body see? No, because the eyes are shut. It's dead to the world. It's the same thing as I was just saying. Can the dead body feel the pain? Do you think dead body can feel the pain? What do you think?
No.
No. Dead bodies cannot feel the pain. Dead body is dead body. Oh, there's a hadith of Rasulullah which says breaking the bone of a dead is like breaking the bone of a living. There's a hadith. Actually, this hadith is talking about gold diggers, grave diggers. At the time of Rasulullah, there used to be thieves. They used to steal. They used to dig the graves to steal clothing and jewelry from rich. And Prophet ﷺ said, when they do that, in order to take clothes and jewelry out of people, they will break bones. And Prophet ﷺ is saying, breaking the bone of the dead is like breaking the bone of the living. Talking about the sin is like talking about the crime itself, rather than the physical pain. So, dead is dead. Take it from the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ. Take it from the Quran. A dead is completely dead to the world. Soul is in a different place. What that soul is experiencing is only what Allah enables it to experience, and nothing more, nothing less. We don't know what that is. But the dead body that you buried underneath the soil, finished. Nothing will happen to that. That body will become part of the soil. Worms, maggots, insects will eat it. In some cases, wild animals may eat it. Of course, we don't dishonor a dead body, we honor them. We wash them, we shroud them, we do janazah on them, we respectfully bury them. Of course we do that. But we don't venerate the dead body. We don't give extra special status to the dead body. Dead body is dead body. We give status to the soul. May Allah have mercy on the soul of the person who has passed away. May Allah make the journey of this person easy. We make dua. And on the Day of Judgment, may Allah unite this body and the soul in the right way, right? But we do not worship the dead body. We do not venerate the dead body. We do not give the dead body any elevation. We just bury them respectfully, and that's it. Make dua for them. Why do we visit the grave? Somebody asked me the other day. If dead body is not important. You don't bury the grave because of the dead. You don't visit the grave because of the dead. You visit the grave because you are reminded about your own death. When you visit a grave, you're reminded by your own death. That's it. There's nothing you can do for the dead person. They're gone. You can make dua to Allah, not to the dead. You can give sadaqat. For Allah's sake, Allah hopefully will add it to the goodness of this person. You can open up sadaqah jariyah on their behalf from their wealth. Allah will accept, we hope, and make dua. But there is nothing you can do about the person who's dead.
Can you just explain Islamic viewpoint on organ donation?
A topic by itself. Is it okay if you allow me not to? Because it requires at least half an hour, 45 minutes presentation with evidence, with all the rest of the stuff. So if it's okay, let's not open that conversation. Let's just keep it to the soul's journey today, inshallah. And maybe another time we can have a discussion about organ donation. My brother at the back, and then you.
Can I just ask, I don't know if it's...
My sisters, you can ask questions. You just have to seek my attention. Bismillah.
How good in the bed is a person?
How?
How good we spoke about in the bed is a person when he dies. But in some cases, you hear a story like, as the person enters to the grave, there appear snakes in there. Is that true? I don't know.
Allahu A'lam, I don't know.
I've
Did you hear the question? The brother is saying that there are cases where a person has gone to the grave and seen snakes. What can I say about that?
Well, I'm just...
I know, but is this from the... One second.
Like,
Is this from the hadith?
stuff.
Is this from the hadith of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Is this from the Quran? Then I cannot say anything else.
There is nothing.
Allahu A'lam, I have no idea. I cannot comment about what I see in a physical grave on this earth, unless there is a hadith that corroborates something that I see and it is from the statement of the Prophet that I've witnessed. I can't, because I would be making up things. So many things I see in life, right? For example, somebody said to me, I'm walking along the road and a black cat crossed me. So, supposed to be sign of badness. Really? I was looking at the mirror, my mirror cracked. Bad luck came to me. I mean, you can go down this route and be so foolish about lots of things. I say to people, stay away from this mumbo jumbo. It has no space in Islam. Keep Islam pure, as it is in the Sunnah of Rasulullah and in the Quran. Anything outside, really not interested. Brother, yourself, yes?
Two questions you can start on one issue.
Go on.
One is about when the body dies, the person dies, and before the soul leaving the body. I heard something to do with 500 white angels or 500 black angels, either yanking the soul out like
The number 500, where did you hear it from?
I can't remember.
Is it not in the hadith? So the brother is saying he heard that 500 bad angels and 500 what?
Like
White angels and black angels are yanking the soul out of... This is not true. White or black doesn't appear because you're discriminating. This is racism already within the angels. These are linguistic problems that we've inherited, unfortunately. The idea is the bad angel and the good angel appears. One, those who sit, actually angels appear, and they're the good ones. They are the ones who are there. It's only one angel who is responsible for taking the soul. Malakul Maut is one. Angel of death. It's not angels of death, it's angel of death. It's impossible to even fathom how does he appear in so many places. Allah knows the best, we don't know. But that's his job. Angels who appear next to a person dying, and how many angels Allah has created, Allah knows the best, we don't know. So we don't put any numbers. Don't get into numbers game, because you'll get lost very soon and then you realize, oops, that's not making any sense. I better stop. Your hand and then my brother's hand.
What color form is the soul?
Allah knows the best. What color is the soul? I have no idea.
The form.
We have no idea.
No idea.
What form, what color, what shape, we have no idea, because Allah says in the Quran, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ, they ask you concerning ruh, tell them the true knowledge of ruh is with Allah. Nobody knows. Even Rasulullah wasn't given enough information about ruh. Do you know why? Because our human mind cannot understand the true concept of ruh. Ruh is divine. We cannot understand it. But we know it exists because we are alive.
When Nabi Isa comes back, he's going to raise some people who have died. Is that going to be good souls or bad souls?
You're opening up another conversation which is about Nabi Isa. We can talk about that another day, inshallah. But let's focus on, this is a good topic for another day, for a longer conversation about what Isa ﷺ will do when he arrives. But currently we're talking about soul's journey. Let's just stay focused, inshallah. It makes it easier. Otherwise, I'll be doing 2-3 talks at the same time. Okay, go on.
Last one. What's happened when you die? Because you said, for instance, in here, we talk, we pray, we do all sorts of stuff. Once you go to the heaven, if we are ever reaching, what happened there?
So once we are dead, our soul is taken into a space called Aliyeen, which is high space in which we'll experience the living of paradise in our soul form. And if you are a bad soul or a person who has been sinning, you will be taken to a place called Sijjin, where you will be experiencing the punishment of the hell, and your soul will experience it. Now what that means, Allah knows the best, but it will experience it. In the Quran, it is mentioned that the soul will be brought in front of the fire twice, morning and the evening. In the hadith of Rasulullah, the grave is constricted. Many things are said, but these are all experiences given so that you know what's to come. But this is for the time period. On the Day of Judgment, your destiny will be determined by a proper account, hisab, proper judgment, evidence, compassion from Allah, witnesses, intercession from Rasulullah. So that in itself is a separate conversation. But while you're alive and then you died, and before you rise on the Day of Judgment, that in between period is the period where you're experiencing paradise or hell, depending on how good or bad you are. Last question from you, and then inshallah we'll finish for today.
I think I'll say that when the soul dies, I think I've that the soul has passed away. When he reaches, I think Eden, then the other soul which are there will ask that soul, "Have you seen so and so? Have you seen so and so?" And then
What happens is a conversation between souls in itself is a mystery. How they will converse, how they will talk, but this will never be fed back to this earth. So it's irrelevant to us. Remember? Because we'll never have the feedback until we die. So I don't delve in that conversation, because to me it makes no difference as to what the souls say in Illiyin or Sijjin. It makes no difference. What I am concerned about is how we prepare ourselves for that particular journey. So my request to us all would be read more. There is a fantastic book called Soul's Journey After Death by Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawzi. Very, very good book. It's available in English. You can download the entire book in a PDF format from the internet. I've seen it. And if you want to read the book itself, it's sold. It was published by Dar al-Taqwa. Buy it and read it. It's got more details. Some hadith are not authentic in there, but you can read and you can check the hadith. There are authenticated hadith available. Today in the world of internet, subhanallah, as long as you don't listen and read junk, you'll be okay. So refer to authenticated books of hadith, Quran, and books that are written based on authentic teachings rather than cultural mumbo jumbo. You'll be fine. So my recommendation to you all is a mysterious world of amazing mystery. Go and study it more, inshallah. Okay, so I'm going to finish here. May Allah forgive me for anything wrong that I have said. May Allah bless us, and we are grateful to Him for anything good that we have said. And may Allah get us and prepare us all so that we can have a beautiful journey on this earth while we are alive, and we can have a beautiful journey when we die. وآخر الدعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I will upload this on my YouTube channel, inshallah, at some stage, so you can find it. My name, Ajmal Masroor, and I'll send it to Rabi, and she will inshallah circulate it in the mosque as well. Thank you.